Have you ever felt too small, too weak, or just not good enough for the task ahead? What if I told you that's exactly who God is looking for? Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible stories from the Bible, the story of a reluctant hero named Gideon. For 7 long years, the Israelites suffered. They had turned away from God, and as a consequence, the Midianites were devastating their land. Every harvest, like a swarm of locusts, these raiders would sweep in, destroying everything and leaving the people poor and terrified. The Israelites hid in caves, their hope dwindling, until finally, they cried out to God. In a small town, a young man named Gideon was secretly threshing wheat in a wine press, a place you'd never expect, just to hide it from the enemy. He saw himself as the weakest person from the weakest family. He was nobody special, or so he thought. Suddenly, the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said something shocking. "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Gideon was stunned. Mighty warrior. He looked around at his desperate situation. "If God is with us," he replied, "why is all this happening? Where are his miracles?" He was filled with doubt and a sense of abandonment. But God's response was a direct command. "Go in the strength you have and save Israel." "Am I not sending you?" Gideon protested his weakness, but God's promise was simple and powerful. "I will be with you, to prove it." God consumed Gideon's offering with fire from a rock, a sign that left Gideon trembling, but beginning to believe. That very night, Gideon took his first step of faith. Under the cover of darkness, he tore down his own father's altar to the false god Baal. He was afraid, but he obeyed. The town was furious, but Gideon's father surprisingly defended him, saying if Baal was a god, he could fight for himself. Soon the Midianite army gathered for another invasion. The Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet. An army of 32,000 Israelites answered his call. It was an impressive force, but God had a different plan. He told Gideon, "You have too many men." He didn't want them to think their own strength won the victory. So, Gideon sent home anyone who was afraid. 22,000 men left. Only 10,000 remained. Still too many, God said. He instructed Gideon to take the men to the water for a test. Most knelt down, putting their faces in the water to drink. But 300 men stayed alert, scooping water into their hands to drink. God's instruction was clear. With these 300 men, I will save you. 300 men against an army that was as thick as locusts. It seemed impossible. Gideon himself was still afraid. So God sent him down to the enemy camp that night, where he overheard a soldier telling a dream about a loaf of bread that destroyed a Midianite tent. The soldier's friend interpreted it. "This is the sword of Gideon. God has given them into his hands." Hearing this, Gideon's faith soared. He returned to his tiny army, ready for God's unconventional battle plan. He gave each of his 300 men a trumpet, an empty clay jar, and a torch to hide inside it. They weren't armed for battle. They were armed with faith. They surrounded the enemy camp in the dead of night. At Gideon's signal, they all smashed their jars, revealing the blazing torches. They blew their trumpets and shouted in unison, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." Imagine the scene: sudden light, deafening noise, and shouts from every direction. The Midianites awoke in absolute chaos and terror. In the confusion, they began fighting each other, believing a massive army had ambushed them. They fled in panic, and the victory was won. The story of Gideon is a powerful reminder. It's not about our strength, our talent, or our numbers. It's about God's power working through our weakness. When we feel insignificant, that's when God can do his most incredible work through us. Victory belongs to the Lord. Thanks for watching. If this story encouraged you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. See you next time.